A reminder of the location and the old name. So this is where the name Byzantium comes from, Byzantion, Greek for what was, at the time Constantine came here, just a fishing town, really. It had had a bit of money spent on it a century earlier by an Eastern emperor called Septimius Severus. Name to conjure with. He was one of those late Roman emperors who was born in the provinces. And in fact, he was born in a part of North Africa that today is in Libya, the city of Leptis Magna. And he had a long, long war of conquest to wage through the empire before he was finally able to make himself sole emperor. This was at the very end of the 2nd century AD. One of the people he beat in order to do that was a rival general, commander of the Roman troops in the east, which would have based in Syria and Anatolia, actually quite close to where the city of Constantinople would be. And it seems as though he visited Byzantium during his campaigns, thought that the place had potential because of its location, and ordered some money allocating for building up its downtown. Probably the Greek equivalent of a forum was built. They used to call that a tetrastoon because Greek marketplaces consisted of these long, low buildings with colonnades known as stoas. And they were perfect for the Eastern Mediterranean because the lower part, which was just colonnaded, was open. So it was nice and cool and airy, and you could do business under the colonnade, set up market stalls and all sorts of things. And above, sort of first story, ran a series of enclosed rooms where you could have offices and shops and all sorts of departments. And if you built 4 of them, you made them into a circle, and the Greek for 4 is tetra, 4 stoas. And it seems as though that's the first bit of posh modern building that went into this place that had probably been neglected by that time for about 500 years. So he put it back on the map, probably long enough to catch the Emperor Constantine's eye. Certainly, around about that time, the citizens were still minting their own coinage. It wasn't a very high value coinage. We've got a surviving example here. So this is a coin from the city before Byzantium. We think it was actually minted probably in the time of the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, so getting towards the end of the 2nd century. And it's got a sort of a warlike Greek figure on it, and you can probably just see there on the right the words Byzas, B-Y-Z-A-S. Interestingly, in Latin, not in Greek script. And he is supposedly the ancient founder of the city. Now, we've got no clue whether Byzas ever existed or not, because Greek city-states liked having founding myths. And if they could make theirs older than Rome's, then so much the better. So this is pretty much par for the course across the Mediterranean, across the great trading towns of the Mediterranean. Byzas, the founder of Byzantium, still remembered in the days of the Roman Empire. But it was when the empire got divided into 2 halves that a building project started. More and more people wanting not just a capital, but also a personal headquarters as well. A lot of new cities come into being, and old cities get revamped and beefed up as we get from the late 3rd century and into the 4th. The time of the Emperor Diocletian, who may be one of the 4 people that you can see here. This is a curious survival, because it lived most of its life in the heart of old Byzantium, in the city of Constantinople. It's carved out of porphyry, which is a kind of marble-like granite that, if properly polished, looks purple and is very, very highly prized in the Eastern Mediterranean. The Byzantine emperors had entire rooms faced in this kind of stuff. And it shows 4 rulers, 2 for the Western Empire, 2 for the Eastern Empire. It's what's known as the Tetrarchy. Once again, that Greek word for 4, tetra, 4 rulers. The idea was that by this time, by the end of the 3rd century, the Roman Empire was so vast, it couldn't really be administered efficiently by one man. It could do with a Western power base and an Eastern one. And what's more, so that there could be a smooth transition of power and the empire didn't get racked by yet more civil wars, most of the 3rd century, incidentally, had been racked by civil wars, it would be nice if each emperor would have an understudy, somebody who had been already formally selected and approved, who would step into his shoes when he either died or indeed retired. That was Diocletian's idea. So hence the idea of 4 rulers. And here they are. Probably originally on display in the great city of Constantinople. This got looted when the Venetians took over the city in the 13th century and carted all the way back to Venice. And you can still see it today. It's at one corner of St. Mark's Basilica on St. Mark's Square. And there they are. You can see that something's changed in Roman carving since the classical Hellenistic heyday, hasn't it? Everybody looks a bit squat and stocky, and they've got lots of worried looks on their faces, etc. That's very typical of the art of the late Roman Empire. They're embracing one another, these rulers, but they've also noticed got their hands on their swords as well. So you suspect that this brotherly love could soon change. So that's how it was imagined, a place that would have a team of rulers rather than just a sole ruler. Of course, with all that power being vested in both the senior emperors and the junior emperors, they all needed capital cities. And that's why an awful lot of building starts to take place at this late stage of the Roman Empire. And that's where they start looking around for suitable sites and suitable capitals.